Good evening, everyone. My name is Bill Lombard. I'm an alcoholic, a drug addict, a cocaine addict. I suffer. Welcome to the day counters. I'm counting days too. I'm just trying to get to midnight, another 24 hours under the belt. It's an honor to be here tonight. I was going back into some history, my own personal history, like where have I been? What have I talked about? What do I want to talk about tonight? And I mean, look, this is a very serious illness. It does require a very serious solution, but it's a common solution. And I'm glad you guys read page 24. I spoke in this meeting October 3rd of 2022, and it really is an honor. So I'm thankful. Hopefully I said something that, and hopefully there's people who are still here from the last time I spoke. I don't know that. Page 164 says, like, if your house is in order, everything will take care of itself. I mean, that's the short version of that. On page 24, I just want to touch on something I just heard, and it talked about this great and central fact, and I'm into facts today. I'm into understanding the illness of my body, mind, and spirit and what I suffer from. I'm interested in trying to straighten out spiritually so I can straighten out mentally, emotionally, and physically. On page 17, it talks about the tremendous fact, and I'm into facts, like I said. So for every one of us here tonight, we have discovered a common solution. It then goes on to talk about on the top of page 18, it talks about an illness of this sort. And if you're here tonight, it's simply by the grace of God that you're interested in understanding what you're up against. As we keep going through, it starts to talk about there is an obsession that somehow, someday, they will beat the game. I'm not interested. I want to be very clear from the beginning. I'm not interested in trying to beat any game here tonight. I don't want to drink. I don't want to do drugs. I don't want to hurt nobody. And I hope that God can speak through me to touch someone tonight. That's what I prayed for. As we were going through these readings, I'm praying for God to open up my heart and help me to be honest about my experience, so maybe I can set someone free in here by his power. It does talk about the fact is that most alcoholics, for reasons yet obscure, these reasons are not yet obscure. Like, that's what the book says, but I've had hundreds of day ones. I can't BS anybody. I got a lot of days in a row right now. My sobriety date's May 15th, 2006. So I got a few days in a row right now, but I'm coming from a blank spot, a strange mental and emotional blank spot from 2003 to 2006, where I suffered severely. I couldn't stop doing cocaine. I could not stop drinking. I could not stop. I could not stop, and I could not stop. I couldn't go to work. My ambition was shot out. It talks about alcohol and drugs being the great separator. And if you've experienced separation from something worthwhile in life, and it's a direct result of your using, your drinking, then you're in the right place. We've got a common solution that's going to help you. I love the name of this group, the name of this group, Clear Cut Directions. These directions are in the book. They haven't been rewritten. They have not been revised. They're the same directions that Wilson and all these other first 100. The book talks about the first 100. They use the word recovered, and they recovered from a hopeless state of mind and body. They become useful members of society, citizens capable of transmitting the solution to the next sick and suffering alcoholic, drug addict. It's an incredibly powerful program from one to another. It talks about the great fact, talks about central fact. I'm referencing all of page 25. If you're seriously an alcoholic, as we were, we believe there's no middle of the road solution. Back that up with what we talk about and how it works, right? Rarely have we seen a person fail. When I spoke here in October of 22, and I just did this as like I logged on and I'm like, I've been here before, right? I've been here before. What an honor. What did I talk about? What was like the reference material that I had sent over I think it was Ari or Alan I was going back and forth with him in October of 2022. I sent over the paragraph on the bottom of page 62 and the paragraph on the top of page 63. So like what I stand for is the truth in those paragraphs. I read those paragraphs over and over and over. They're on my heart because they changed my life. They gave me a life. They provided a solution, a faith-based solution that somehow, some way, I'm going to be able to get to midnight without having to use drugs or alcohol, without having to hurt anybody. The first step, powerless. I can understand that today. You know, I think so often in my story, I'm 58 years old. I live in Ocean City, New Jersey. I'm about 100 miles, maybe 120 miles south of New York City. I live in this little beach town of about maybe, I don't know, 15,000 people. Everyone kind of knows everyone. And I got married at the age of 25. I was in business in this little small town. I had a pretty raging business. It was pretty cool what I was into. I had 80 employees. I said I do, she said I do. And, you know, by the time I was 30, like she did not sign up for what she had signed up for. She did not say I do to the way I drank. She did not say I do to the way I embarrassed her. She did not say I do, nor did my children. I had 2 kids by the time I was 30. My son, Billy, he's 32. And I was going back and forth with Robbie, like trying to figure out how do I commit? How do I commit to April 3rd? Right? Like how's this going to go down? Because that son of mine, Billy, 32, he's 14 years sober. He's married. And he's expecting his first daughter today. So like, I didn't know what was going on. I've never been down this road, right? I'm going to be a grandpa. They call me Pops. That's what Billy called me, Pops. What's up, Pops? Like he comes strolling into Cocaine Anonymous meetings. He comes strolling into AA meetings. He comes strolling into Narcotics Anonymous meetings at the age of 18, 19, 20. And he was stacking up days, day in, day out, day in, day out, day in, day out. And he'd say, what's up, Pops? How are you today, Pops? So when he said, so what do you want my daughter to call you? Pops. And I'm good with that. I'm good with that. If that's not your experience and you have a son or a daughter, or you have a parent or something like that, I want to read something. I want to really hammer down on this one today because this is where my truth is. It says, it is an effort to discover the truth about the stock and trade. The stock and trade. One object is to disclose damaged or unsaleable goods. I'm making a reference to where we are in 63, 62, 63, 64, 65. We're getting into some work. And like, I have to start to find this willingness to look inside. And if my son was on this meeting, like he'd be on the meeting today. Like he likes hanging out with me. But like the fact is, like how he ran his program and how I ran my program, it was like a left and a right. He was going left, I was going right. And you keep making a right down the wrong road in Alcoholics Anonymous and Cocaine, wherever you're going. Let's be really clear. You keep making right-hand turns in this program, you're going to get wiped off the face of the map. It's progressive, it's fatal, and it's a very, very serious illness that we deal with. Just my experience, I've sat in thousands of meetings. Thousands. I mean, that's the math. And I just don't want to see anyone make a right-hand turn and just keep going and going and going. We call them dead-end streets. You keep going down a dead-end street, you're gonna pick up the name of the street. You're gonna be dead. Very serious illness. It talks about it. We admitted we were powerless. What's that mean? First 5 words. It's the most impossible thing that I can ever get down with. So the nature of this illness: denial, lack of acceptance, full flight from reality, full flight, just shot out. I live in a different truth. I have a different reality. My perspective is that you owe me something, that life has not been fair to me. And then I hear like, well, life is difficult. Okay, that's fine. So we have to find this level of acceptance. And somewhere along the line, this level of awareness will meet your level of desperation. You'll collide. Your awareness, your truth will be spelled out so clearly in front of you, it's undeniable. an undeniable truth. And somehow that'll pick up your desperation. And I think that's what gets most of us to our first meeting. So going back to what we had read, and what I want to focus in on is this idea of our little plans and designs, right? How am I going to be able to figure this out today? What's going to keep me in a meeting? You know, I was sitting next to a young guy, and I do want to share this experience. I'm trying to look at my time, and I mean, if you'll be so cool, just give me a 5-minute like one of these or something. I was working with this young guy. I sponsored him for 10 years. And I can tell you this, that the men who helped me, there were two, his name was Paul and Clay, and they both passed on. And they never left my side. They never gave up on me. I truly am one of the fortunate ones. There's no doubt about that. No doubt. God's grace and mercy has saved my ass so big time. So who am I not to sit in a meeting? I always try to keep an empty chair next to my left or to my right, because I just want that chair to be open so someone might sit down there. I pray for God to send me a sick man to help because I was sick. And he sent men to me to help me. And I pushed him away and I pushed him away, hence the 100-day ones. And if that's your experience, you don't ever. Today's the day. Today's the day. Today's the miracle. This is the miracle of recovery. This is the solution, that you can make a decision that at once you're going to be willing to go do some work in this program. Very difficult, very difficult. I don't minimize that difficulty. It is really hard to stick and stay. But God's grace and mercy makes all this possible. So there's something. So when I look back at like, what did I talk about in October of 2022? I have no idea. I know what I sent over to be read, and in God's amazing coincidence, right, which there are none, I sent over basically the same 2 paragraphs to be read today. And the reason why I focus in on this is because I need a new employer in my life. It's just that simple. A life run on self-will is so incredibly painful. Most of us run on self-will. I love how the literature uses the word self-propulsion. And then in some of our previous pages, it talks about the tornado. Self-propulsion and a tornado. How about just ricocheting through as many lives as you possibly can, wreaking havoc, destruction, like through them all. Like, are you done yet? The $1 million question, are you done? You know, and Paul would ask that question of me countless times. My son, Billy, would call Paul, hey, my dad's drunk. What do I do? He's not done yet. He's not done yet. I'm sorry. Your dad's not done yet. Separated, asked to leave the house. You know, I remember I went back to that house and my key did not work. And I don't have any blame. You know, the men who guided me, they were crystal clear. Blame no one, expect nothing, and do something. So I was 37 years old. I went to rehab, right? 28-day stay. And when I was leaving, they said, you're going to need to go to AA, CA, NA, but you're going to need to go to meetings. And I went to them all. The goal of this program that these men showed me, was to put my hand in God, to find a power that could settle my insanity. And I'll get to the second step. There's something in the second step I really want to talk about. But I had to settle this uncomfortable feeling, like, where am I going to fit? I'm different. And I've come to know that, like, the same brain that's in your brain and in my brain, like this same heart, the same humanness that I have, that you have, we hurt, we suffer. Got to get up out of that stuff. In the second step, it talks about coming to believe. If you come to believe in something less powerful than yourself, you're going to struggle. I always believed in myself. I'll figure this out. I've been coming to meetings for 20 years, and I always thought I could figure it out. And I'll tell you what, like my personal experience in the second step is that like I did find a power greater than myself. I found a loving God who was forgiving, who understood every single struggle I had. So fast forward, why are we reading what we're reading today? It's like, this is second step work. This is coming to believe that I'm completely insane, that whatever I've done for my entire life has gotten me this far. I'm alive and I have a shot. That shot on my own is another self-will tour that's going to take me back to the dealer. It's going to take me back to the liquor store. I'm going to get shot out and I'm not going to be able to stop. I will take every dollar I have. I will take your dollars. I'll probably fly to London and look for some of your dollars. And I'll probably try to find your dealer because you got better stuff than I got. It's insanity. It's the highest level of insanity, what we deal with in these meetings. And I want to tell you what trumps that. It's the love, care, and compassion for the alcoholic who has recovered, who has found a solution that can say, hey, like I said, I try to keep a chair empty to my left and to my right. I don't go sitting with my buddies in meetings. That's not what I do. I go to a ton of in-person meetings and I do a ton of Zoom. And I always try to have an empty chair because I have no idea what God's sending me. But I pray. I pray. So third step, made a decision to do what? What are you going to make a decision about? Like in this program, decisions have consequences. You make the wrong decision, contempt, prior to investigation, denial. They don't know me. I don't fit in here. All that self-loathing, all that self-pity, all that nonsense, got to go. The decision we must make must have depth and weight. That decision is to continue to do the work. And that's kind of where we're getting into with this. So this idea of God's help, this idea that God makes this possible. Is that true for you? Like, are you wavering? Can you just make a decision to have an open mind so that you can continue to go a little bit deeper into some inventories? You know, I really do believe that they put the idea of being reborn in this book in the exact correct spot. Had Wilson put those 3 words, right? We were reborn. Had he put it in the beginning of, like, I don't know, the doctor's opinion? Had he put it in his own story? Had he put it in, there's a solution? And he put it in how it works. I mean, this is the payoff. Born twice, die once. I'm down with that. I'm totally down with that. Matter of fact, I need to be reborn like you are, because you're going to teach me something that I still don't know about myself. So I need to stick with as many, like a network, I run deep with my son. I'm 58, he's 32. So the blessing is, like, there's all these young guys I get to work with. All these married, sober men. All these young men, like from a day, a week, 3 years. My buddy Rob will have 8 years tomorrow. He's 32. Reborn. So, like, on our knees in prayer, I'm not the kind of guy who hits my knees too often. I'm very honest about that. But I spend a lot of time in prayer. I want to tell you about the new employer and how he works. So if you're looking for evidence, just look to the square to your left or right. Like, do you know that person? They're in the same meeting as you are. They're probably here for the same reason you are, some kind of hope. Maybe their pain is so great that they're going to get their hand up and ask for help. See, I don't know, but that's why I'm here. I'll never forget the experience I had. I sat in a meeting and there was the sickest woman I had ever seen to date. And I prayed. I prayed that she would reach out to someone. And I had given her a suggestion months ago. And I had prayed. I honestly said, like, hey, I really hope she reaches out to this other woman. And I remember I was leaving a meeting and this other woman said, "Hey, I heard from so-and-so today. She suggested that you reach out. Nothing happens by accident. I have no power. I have a heart that's filled with inspiration and hope. If yours is still filling up, keep the door open." This is the idea of making a healthy decision. Very few of us make healthy decisions. I speak for myself, but I also speak for the chronic nature of the illness. I know what their illness is represented as, like fierce resentment. That's what it says on page 18. An illness of this sort. Well, what the hell does that mean? What are fierce resentments? We're really not a tough nut to crack. The alcoholic is a very simple, hurting human being when you get to Alcoholics Anonymous. When you land in here and you've been afflicted by alcohol, you've been afflicted by cocaine, you've been afflicted by drugs, you've been wiped out financially, you have absolutely nothing. That's where the awareness of that meets your desperation. That's where lives get saved. That's the point at which you're reborn, but you don't know that yet. You know, one of the most painful pieces of information that I can share is that I left AA. I left these meetings. I didn't want to come here. And I went right back out. I was 40 years old. I blew up my family. I blew up my business, and it all went to hell. And these two men came and they gave me a hook. They said, "Why don't you get 10 days worth of clothes and come live with us?" And I went up to outside of Philadelphia, left my family. I left those two babies, 13 and 9. Who does that? Who does that? An alcoholic, a drug addict, a gambler. Like, that's what I did. I couldn't face life successfully in any way, shape, or form. I was a scared little boy. I had 80 employees. I had a cool company, made cool products, and I bailed out of everything. I got a second honest day sober on May 16th of 2006. And I didn't know what was going to come of that. Great I am, right? Thought I could fix my marriage, fix my company, and all that stuff. Not in this program. I don't know what you have to surrender for a day of sobriety. I tap out. I have no power. I want his power. And because he'll grant me his power for a day, I feel his grace and mercy. I get to walk this path with all of you. It's amazing. In the 4th step, it talks about making a searching and fearless moral inventory. I never searched for anything in my life. Give me, give me, give me. I want. You owe me all this insanity. So we get to these turnaround points, and that's where we are. So what kind of position does it say that we have to take? All sorts of remarkable things followed. I don't know about you, but I'm into remarkable things following me wherever I effing go. Like I don't know where you're going, but I want remarkable things to follow me. I have no expectation anymore. I demanded all that for my entire life. I've been set free of like all this worldly nonsense. I want, I got to get. I'm into remarkable things. And the most remarkable thing that I have ever found to date is a day of sobriety. Free of fear, useful, helpful, willing, caring, compassionate to my brother or sister. I beg God every day to make me capable to do this till midnight. That's it. Don't complicate this thing. It'll help me kind of dump for a minute. I had a really rough phone call with one of the guys I sponsored for a long time. Really rough phone call. And happened this morning. I don't like it when someone comes down my street. I just don't. I don't like it when someone says, "Well, how the hell does this work for you and it won't work for me?" That's called contempt. Whatever your solution is, it's not going to work for me. That's called ignorance. I heard it all. And I left them with a prayer. See, it's in prayer that we can settle the differences of whatever it is that we think we know versus what we know that God knows. And when we know that God has set us free for just this day, And that's what we pray for the sick man. Most of us are still sick in some way. And we get this amazing opportunity to just be human today. My mom died in 2007. 2008. I was 2.5 years sober. And I said to Clay, the guys who helped me get sober, I said, what do I do? Right? And it talks about, he provided us what we needed if we kept close to him and performed his work well. Established on such a footing, we became less and less interested in ourselves. I said, Clay, what do I do? My mom's dying. He said, you show up and you listen. Is that not about what we're doing tonight? And I mean, that's what we're doing. We're showing up and we're listening. We're all trying to heal together. And the payoff, right? What's the payoff? I don't know. It's pretty remarkable to have a day clean. I'm down with that. I chased the money. I chased Wall Street. I chased stocks. Married, right? Had to have a girlfriend, right? I can be honest about that. My son will tell you. I have a 29-year-old daughter. She's the most precious thing on the planet. She wants to hang out with me. She called me this afternoon and she says, what are you doing? Can I stop by? I said, well, I got to talk in a meeting. Why don't you stop by afterwards? It's all right. Well, maybe I'll stop by and I'll just sit in the other room. Whatever you want, honey. So it talks about, and I want to read this. We asked ourselves why we were angry. Bottom of page 64. If you're angry today, you're probably getting pushed around by one of these. And it's not, these aren't my words. This is what the book says. In most cases, we found that our self-esteem, our pocketbooks, our ambition, our little desires, how come she doesn't love me, our personal relationships, including sex, were hurt or threatened. So we were sore. So in an effort to be set free from this illness, it says, as we felt new power flow in and we enjoyed peace of mind, we discovered we could face life successfully as we became conscious of his presence. They're asking a lot of us there. They're asking us to believe. Believe in each other to start, believe in the group. Let's go with the group, you know? It's just my experience. It took me 14 years to believe in my brother or sister that they were going to be okay and they could help me. So what did I do for the first 14 years? I'm not embarrassed to tell you. I did very little. Did you ever go to a meeting? Did you ever get like a day of sobriety where you just want to get by? I just want to get by. I just want to get like, look, dude, like I don't need these steps. Nope. I'm here just not drinking. That has to be good enough. I need to put a foundation piece in for that one. That has to be good enough. My purpose here today is to talk to you about, do you want to be reborn? Do you want to be set free of all this insanity that circles around up here? And I need to tell you that God makes that possible. It's my personal experience. He set me free. So March of 2020, right? Let's just like plug in reality, right? Most of us find reality really difficult, but in March of 2020, it set in across the whole world. The whole world shut down. We all ended up on Zoom. The greatest thing that ever happened in Alcoholics Anonymous, aside from our literature, now we get to ricochet all over the world and love up on each other and help each other and make a difference, you know? Priceless. Absolutely priceless. I want to share this experience. So I guess it was July of 21. The world's still shut down, right? COVID, whatever that is. I'm working with another man, right? And he's working with me. Where one is and another is, he is. And we were going back and forth and we were talking about some serious, like emotional disturbances. We were deep into this literature. Written inventory. In several areas of our literature, it talks about written, putting pen to paper. I don't know about you, but I didn't want to write anything. So somewhere around March of 2020, I start writing, and I have not stopped writing. I have not stopped writing. I pick a word out, and I focus in on it in meditation in the morning, And I write about that word as it applies to me, as it applies to the sober world that I'm in the midst of, as it will influence and enhance my sober mind. Biblical, be of sober mind. So this gentleman from London, of all places, right? God bless, like so thankful to be here. We're going back and forth for probably a good couple hours. And I just had this pause. And I said, hey, brother, we got to pray. We got to pray. And I said, we have to pray and we have to ask God to help us move so we can see him move. God, help me move so we can see you move. I don't know what you're into, but I'm looking for a supernatural experience. In this human world is a little painful, you know? And then the next thing I said, hey, brother, give me your address. He gives me his address and he's holed up somewhere over in London. And I said, bro, like, get out your front door. You got 8 churches, 5 spot. Thank you. T-5. So like, you get out your front door, you got 8 churches right there. I didn't know that. It's called Google Earth. I can take any human's address, type it into Google Earth, and I can see where you live. And I said, brother, is that a church like 200 feet? Go kneel down and ask them. That was my experience. I started going to this church that was open. They weren't afraid of COVID. No one was going to come and lock them down. 14, 15, 16 years sober. Finally, it says it. It says it. It is so painful. When the spiritual malady is overcome, we straighten out mentally and physically. In dealing with resentments, we set them on paper. Resentment is the #1 offender. It destroys more alcoholics than anything else. From it stems all forms of spiritual disease. So I want to talk for just a couple minutes on this like powerful solution that we're in the midst of. I don't know, there's 46 people on the meeting. I think I know 2. I remember, I believe, Robbie from October of 2022, right? Cool, right on, brother. Like I can tell you this. So like what's going on in my life today? Probably the same that's going on in yours. This sense that we're going to have to work a little harder to stay sober. We're going to have to work a little harder to stay from the drug man. It's like turn off the noise. How do you do that? You ask for help. Tap out. I used that word earlier, tap out. Just tap out. What's that mean? Like, call a friend. Got 5 minutes? I got to talk to you about something. Hey, you were talking about being reborn. What's that mean? How about a new spirit? How about a completely new set of attitudes and actions? You'll walk different, you'll talk different, you'll think different, you'll rate differently. The spirit will flow. That's the new power that we're seeking. So how do I know this? It's been my experience in the last couple of years in these squares that the presence of God has moved so dramatically amongst so many suffering men and women beyond their capacity to do it. So what is that power? That power is the power of God. And that's okay if you're not there yet. I can be a little intense with that, but my experience has been intense. I don't know like where anybody is, but like I'm grateful we got day guys here. That's amazing. Because when you get one honest day clean, the second day's the second day's the day. Then the third day. And I shared that. I got to outside of Philadelphia, I got my second honest day sober. I knew it. For the first time in my life, May 15th of 2006 was my May 16th of 2006 was my second honest day sober on this planet. No mind or mood altering chemicals, no manipulation, no stealing, none of this BS. So it works. Don't wait 14 years to get your heart set on fire. That's my experience. Like the best thing that happened to me was the world shut down. My business is poof, financially just blown up because of COVID. Doesn't matter. IDM. If you write down on a piece of paper what doesn't matter, God will show you what does matter. I'm positive about that. It talks about it in our literature. It talks about the fourth dimension of existence. This is 4D moments for me. This is all 4D moments for me. The book talks about rocket fuel. What do you got? I'm not saying that arrogantly. What do you got? What is your fuel? What moves you? Like, this is a design for living that works. This solution has worked for millions. There's no need to change anything. I heard this guy, this is a great one. I'm sorry. I heard this guy label this BMW. I'm like, what are you talking about? Bitch, moan, and whine in the meeting. I'm like, whoa, I've never heard that one before. Like, okay, I got nothing with any of that. A lot of us have to come in, and we have to come in, and we have to keep coming back until we get set free. So I want to end in a prayer for each and every one of you. I did this in another meeting, and I thought they were going to throw me out. We don't do that here. Oh, okay. So when I got up this morning, I was writing about distractions, and I was writing about disturbances. And I realized that a lot of us are in the storm. And I want to pray that your storm's over today. It's my prayer, in prayer, that I ask God to set you free from all your disturbances, all your noise, so that the solution found in these pages, the white light, hits you so hard that your spirit's set on fire, and that the rocket fuel you have is based on the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous and not your own fantasies and small-minded thoughts. These 12 steps will set you free. And that's my prayer for each and every one of you. God bless. Robbie, thank you, sir.
No, thank you, brother.